Services launching an initiative to help us identify people who may have been radicalised.
Know the Signs details dozens of indicators that a friend or family member could be planning a terror attack. As Adam Hollingworth reports, the move comes as our spy chiefs identify a new and worrying type of terrorism.
Time was when the intelligence services were never seen, never heard. But now they're loudly proclaiming your country needs you to keep an eye on those you know and, if necessary, dob them in.
Recognising a potential warning sign and then alerting NZSAS or police could be the vital piece in the puzzle that ultimately saves lives.
To that end, they're publishing a guide called Know the Signs to help us all identify potential terrorists in our midst.
To pay attention and to be alert so that if they see or hear about something that seems off, that worries them and concerns them, they might have a look at this information to say, does this indicate to me that this person is on the road to actually committing an attack?
The SIS has listed around 50 signs, from obvious ones, like writing on a weapon, as happened in Christchurch, to
a person who is really developing an us versus them worldview.
Authorities say they're usually closely monitoring 40 to 50 potential terrorists. These people used to be motivated by their white identity or by their faith. But in the past 6 months, a third group has emerged, those motivated by politics.
And so it could be the COVID measures that the government took, or it could be other policies that are interpreted as infringing on rights. And it's what I sometimes describe as a kind of hot mess of ideologies and beliefs.
I'm sorry, I'm mesmerized. I'm staring down that swirl on her forehead, and I'm not making fun of the way anyone looks. I'm just saying that if one were trying to make a diabolical villain akin to Dr. Evil of another variation, this is not far from what it would actually look like. Let's just let this play out so I can then vent some frustration for a little bit.
Fueled by conspiracy theories.
The launch of the initiative Know the Signs is an indicator that the security services know that they can't do it alone. They need the help of the public. But to some, the guide is a first step only.
How do we upskill those people in our community who are much closer to people who might be potentially radicalised and get them to understand what it is they're seeing? That's our challenge.
Adam Hollingworth, News Hub.
It's. I thought this was a joke, actually, at first. Rebecca, what was her name? Rebecca Kitteridge. I thought it was a joke. I said maybe it's from like a skit of something. I didn't see the original broadcast. It was Luke Rudakowski who posted it to Twitter. He's been a very trustworthy, reliable source. New Zealand SIS releases first ever guide to help identify signs of violent extremism. The most amazing thing is you don't even need the violence anymore. You don't even need extremism anymore. You get to call anything violent extremism because it might lead somewhere. It might lead, I don't know, to protests. They called a peaceful protest a violent occupation. They called a peaceful protest racist, xenophobic, transphobic, anti-black racist, anti-Semitic, misogynistic. They call peace war. They call constitutional protest extremism. You don't even need to have broken the law to face an accusation. There doesn't need to be violence. There doesn't need to be extremism in order for it to be called violent extremism by the government itself. I have been cranky the last little while, never to the point of becoming the enemy that I'm battling 24/7. If only through peaceful speech, analysis, and shedding some light on the absolute corruption and hypocrisy. I saw that, and And I'm like, yeah, oh, what's new there? We've been doing this in Canada for the last year. What happened in Canada? Anti-authority rhetoric. A small fringe minority holding unacceptable views, they're now breaking the law. It's an occupation now. A peaceful protest is an occupation. Criticizing the government is anti-authority rhetoric. It's a small fringe minority holding unacceptable views. They will not be content until they literally criticize dissent itself. And what better way to do it? What better way to do it? If you criticize the government, I don't know what accent that is, criticize the government and the last 3 years of government abuse, and you're the abuser, and they turn themselves into the victims. The government that has imposed measures that have devastated a generation, crippled an economy, brought people to the brink of and sometimes over the precipice of self-harm ideations. If you criticize that now, and if you protest against that, you're the insurrectionist. If you criticize it, you're the IMVE. They've made up this term, IMVE, ideologically motivated violent extremism that needs not violence nor extremism in order to be floated around of a blanket term to shut people up and criminalize their very existence. It is very, very disheartening, discouraging. And, people are saying, well, that's New Zealand. New Zealand's fallen off the deep end. It's been in Canada now for the last 9 months. They were attempting to push it in the United States. The czar of disinformation, who's now registered as a foreign agent. I forget what her name is. They called her Mary Poppins or something. They tried to do it in the States. It just so happens that there's enough people pushing back in the States against it. In Canada, it looks like they're going to get away with it. Did we lose internet connection? Scary Poppins was her name. Yeah, thank you. I don't know if we just lost internet connection for a second. I'm seeing one bar. But do what the government tells you, because that's courage. That is patriotism. Shut up and do what the government tells you. And by who better now to be promoting this message of obedience? A man who once upon a time was the king of rock. I don't know, the king of being a rebel. F you, I won't do what you tell me. Rage Against the Machine to simp for the machine. Here we got Gene Simmons. Listen to this. I don't know when this was. Maybe Gene Simmons has come around now that he's seen everything that's gone down over the last 3 years. Back in the early days, people were terrified, and the older you were, the more terrified you were, because they literally told you, if you get this, you're going to die. Let's see what Gene Simmons has to say. I don't know when this interview is from. It's glorious.
So get over yourself. We're not concerned if you agree with it or not. We're concerned about you making us sick. So
get over yourself. Imagine he's telling that to me because he's afraid of getting sick. Get over yourself. And listen to the way that you get to a point in your life where you either have too much authority, too much money, too much fear, too much power, where you think people should be subservient to your better judgment because their judgment just doesn't count. Listen to this is Gene Simmons.
So get your goddamn COVID shot.
It's a good point.
And prevent other people from getting your stuff.
It's a good point, and we're having a debate this morning about that very thing, really. A debate about whether mask wearing should be returned to be mandatory here in the UK. Restrictions have been lifted. And I understand you even suggest people who come to your concerts wear them for their own protection.
We are doing the KISS cruise shortly, and you will not be able to get on the cruise unless you're vaccinated. Look, before you go to school, you have...
I was going to say hell. You can go to hell. Do you know what the reality is? If you want to see KISS that badly that you'll do something that defies your own principles, hey, go ahead and do it. A KISS cruise is not exactly something that I'm worried about requiring vaccination for. International travel, more of a concern. Interprovincial travel, more of a concern. Seeing this jackass on a cruise, not something I even give a sweet bugger all about. Now, that is not to say that's not why I ever made my decision. But I can tell you, when I was asked for papers, when I was crossing my border from Quebec to a border of a province in my country, New Brunswick, and I was asked for papers, and I was told to go back to my province, register online so that I could get into another province in my own bloody country. Oh, you better damn well believe that I was enraged. Oh, no, don't get mad. Don't get mad. The government, that's IMVE. Can't criticize the government for unconstitutional charter violations, for setting up vaccination checkpoints between provinces in my own bloody country.
You have to have your children get the flu vaccine and the polio vaccine, and there's no discussion.
That's because they're actually vaccines with decades of proof. I wonder if Long Tongue, whatever this Jack and his name is, if he feels the same way now. He probably does, because he's taken his 5 boosters. He doesn't have the same risk variance as other generations younger than him. Keep jacking yourself up, but listen to the end. The pièce de la résistance.
And, what about my rights? Well, you don't have as many rights as you think. When you get up to a red light, you must stop. There's no choice. It's because it's not about you. It's about the other innocent people going by. So get over yourself. Even you get in your car, you must put on a seatbelt. Well, you're taking away my rights, and the government's telling me what to do. That's right. The government is telling you what to do. Shut up, be respectful of other people, and get a vaccine. Put on your seatbelt, stop at the red light, stop being selfish.
Because something that goes over your shoulder is quite clearly analogous, comparably speaking, to something that goes into your very body. I mean, they're just idiots. They're just idiots who have gotten, they've had their life already. They've lived a life of luxury. They've made wealth beyond anybody's wildest dreams. They've lived the good life already. They've got nothing left to lose because they don't have much left in any event. They're sort of like at the end of their roll of toilet paper, as I say. Life is like a toilet paper. It goes faster the closer you get to the end. They've made it. They've made immense wealth from the freedom that they've enjoyed for the last 70 years. I don't know how old this guy is. Now, their own fear has taken over. They want to enjoy their last days, and damn you if you get to enjoy your life. You don't have that many freedoms. Shut up and do what the government says, because right now, I got the power, I got the wealth, I've already had the freedom, and I'm not giving up that much for the rest of my days to make sure that I'm safe and feeling good. Oh, sweet crab apples! It's not a hard. I've been doing push-ups after going for jogs, so I'm a little sore. I don't feel better. But I'm. If people don't understand where we're going and they don't see it yet, and they're okay with shut up and do what the government tells you, and if you complain about it, that's ideologically motivated violent extremism. Can't criticize the government. It's dangerous. That's a little wrong think there.